This is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and this will be a quicker recap session from the recent trip to Greece and Turkey. The reason why is when you see me open up my book, you will see it is July 1st, which is on the right side of the page, and the monthly turning the page to a new month is on the left. So I decided to just do this one page in the spread. On this day, July 1st, we went to Rhodes. And now, full disclosure, I have a love-hate relationship with Rhodes. Ultimately, I know I loved it. I had a great day, but I had two little things happen that I really had a hard time shifting from. And I will talk about those in just a moment. So, as you've seen me in some of my other videos from this series, if you've been watching them, I am laying out the pictures to plan out the space allocation and grouping them based on parts of the day. Um, and I used a Kodak Steps printer to print out these pictures on sticker paper, and then they're easily able to be stuck down on the page. So this day was interesting. We got breakfast at Savor, which had become one of our favorite restaurants to go to. And then we got off the boat and walked into town. Rhodes has this section called Old Town, which has a huge old stone wall. Think about like a palace border where there would be the very tall wall on the outskirts of the palace. And so we walked along the Old Town Wall and went into one of the entrances that was close by. And immediately, my son and I got uh, a drink from a little shop. So he got a milkshake. I got an affogato, which is espresso and ice cream. And then we just began to meander. We began to walk around the streets. The kind of vibe of Rhodes was a little similar to Mykonos, where kind of cobblestone and very narrow walkways, not a ton of roads. There's a lot of scooters in Rhodes. Ha, I just realized I said not a ton of roads in Rhodes. Um, but in Old Town, it was more scooter accessibility, not necessarily car accessibility. And we just really enjoyed walking around. I saw this section called Anna's house that was labeled with a sign that said Anna's house, which we took a picture of because one of my really good friends' name is Anna. And we saw very, very beautiful flowers, and we had this one there. One of the pictures I have here is this yellow stucco wall with cobblestone on the ground and a little scooter that's right up next to the wall, and that was just the quintessential picture of the day, which was really great. And as we walked around, we got to this area that had it was kind of a bazaar, and had a fountain in the middle. And in this area, the people that worked in this area had a very Turkish style where they were calling you out to come into their establishment. So all the restaurants had people out in the square that were gesturing and calling out to you and trying to get you to come eat at their establishment. It was lunchtime, so I accepted one of the offers, and we went up to a second floor balcony to sit and eat lunch and look over at the square. And we had really good food. My son had been having a craving for noodle soup, chicken noodle soup, and so he was able to get it there. Now, here's where the yucky thing happened. And again, it's super silly, so apologies. But as we wrapped up at the restaurant, I let the server know we were ready to pay. I held out my card and he said, "Oh, we're cash only." And I froze for a moment, my jaw dropped, and I basically was had the response of, "Are you serious?" And he said yes. And I said, you should probably tell people that as you're waving them in to come eat, because had I known that, we would not have come here. We had at that point about 65 euro left of the 210 euro that we had brought on the trip. And we had 2 more days beyond this of our trip. And so I kind of panicked at having to pay for lunch. It was 45 euro, but we paid, and I did not leave a tip. Tipping is not obligatory in Europe or in that part of Europe. So I didn't necessarily feel bad about that, but that was me exerting my control in that moment to something that I felt very out of control with. And we got up and we left. Now, a few blocks later, I realized that I left my water bottle next to the table. Now, this water bottle has been with me for years. I have stickers on this water bottle from being in Outer Banks 2 summers ago. And I have stickers from Goulet pens and things like that. I was pretty upset about that. So it took me a bit to get out of my head. And if you were to ask me right now what my least favorite place was of the whole trip, I would say Rhodes for that reason. However, I just held my wrist up. When we got to the bazaar at the square with the fountain, I did get a bracelet that was 22 euro, and it was one that you pay per length. It had the option to get it as a forever bracelet, but I chose not to. I actually might shift that and go back and get it as a forever bracelet, but not sure. And when I say go back, I don't mean go back to Rhodes. I mean go to a different jeweler. Um, we then went back to the boat. Actually, we as a family went and did a workout. My son did a workout as well. Then my son and I went and got ice cream, and we got a Shirley Temple. The bartender where we got the Shirley Temple hit on me, and that made my son exceptionally uncomfortable. He kept bringing it up throughout the afternoon, and he was saying things like, well, Mom, why didn't you wear your ring? If you wore your ring, then he wouldn't have said those things. And really, the bartender hitting on me was winking and calling me honey, and it wasn't anything really more than that, but it made my son uncomfortable. So that evening, oh, we also went on the ropes course, only part of it because it was windy, so we could only do the first part of the course. But it was really cool on deck 16 or 17 of a cruise ship to be up there doing a ropes course. And we also had dinner at Taste as a family. And then my husband and I did a date night, and part of that date night was um, we stopped by the boat shop. They were having a sale on costume jewelry. And so I think in a moment I'm going to show off a ring. I picked up this ring for $25 that I could put on. And I made a point to say to my son, look, I got this ring now. No one will say anything. And then my husband and I went to Sky Bar on the boat. And Sky Bar was sponsored by Sky Vodka, but it was a frozen rum. It was completely iced. You had to go into this walk-in freezer for a minute to acclimate, and you had to wear these warm ponchos. But they had a frozen throne, and they had a frozen wall with wings etched in it. So we took a bunch of pictures, and the bartender let us pour our drinks. It was not complimentary. We had to pay $28 to go in, but we got 2 free drink tickets each. So it kind of evened out. It's more for the experience of it. But that was our Rhodes day.